When it comes to memorable video game moments, people often have a special place in their heart for the first system they owned. Some had consoles, some had handhelds, others just got by with whatever the family computer had available on it. I had played a few games before this point, but the definitive moment I got into the hobby was when I got my very first handheld, a bright red Game Boy Advance SP around 2004. The GBA had a great library. Hell, a few of you probably grew up with it. Great first-party franchises like Mario, Zelda, Kirby, Pokemon, Metroid, a generous slew of third-party titles such as Crash, Spyro, and Castlevania, and even a few hidden gems such as Golden Sun and Advanced Wars. Many of those games hold up well to this very day, and any of those would have made a fine entry point to what has now become a lifelong hobby. So, what did my collection consist of? Superstar Saga, Amazing Mirror, Zero Mission, Final Fantasy, Minish Cap, Aria of Sorrow, Boktai? Nope, none of those. I had Pokemon Silver. Not that Pokemon Silver though. This Pokemon Silver. Do you believe it gets worse from here? For various reasons, my family did a lot of traveling when I was young. The only reason I was given my Game Boy was to keep me occupied on the long flights. I had no clue what a Nintendo even was at the time. As a result of these trips, we spent a lot of time in and around China. You know what else comes from China? Bootleg Game Boy games. As a result, I amassed a pretty big collection of bootlegs over time. They were dirt cheap, so my family usually picked one up every couple of shopping trips. Almost all of them were questionable, but young me still ate them up. I mean, heck, what else was I gonna do with my spare time? In all fairness, most of them were just regular GBA games, just produced illegally. Many of the cartridges were shoddy, none of them came with instruction books, and they're often missing areas or functions of the game itself. If a game said it autosaved, it was lying. For years I thought passwords were superior as a result. Sadly, I didn't keep the boxes. Would have been a good laugh to look back at though. There were some alright games in that category, but that's not what I'm here to talk about today. Occasionally, when you got a new game, you struck gold. Games that were absolutely not what they said on the cover, or some other mangled monstrosity of a ROM hack, were common. Most of them were NES games, I think, and even as a kid, I knew something was horribly wrong. For better or for worse, these are what I played the most. They were so chaotic and unpredictable, but I didn't care if the game itself was rubbish. Fortunately, I've saved a good number of them. So let's go through a few of them, and hopefully shed some light on why my taste in games can be peculiar sometimes. For the record, all of these were recorded via extracting the ROMs and emulating them, so they won't be one-to-one with the original hardware. Sorry. Let's start with the first one I showed off. Pokemon Silver. Side note, all of these are Pokemon themed. I was a very gullible, desperate young Pokemon fan. This one's probably tied to the least chaotic of the bunch, being a mangled version of Little Nemo the Dream Master. And instead of Nemo, you play as what's supposed to be a grey sand shrew, since that's what's on the title screen. A bunch of the sprites are glitchy and garbled, even some of the relatively stable ones have a breakdown every couple seconds. To make things more confusing, all the text is in Japanese, so good luck in understanding what's going on. Oh, and you can make your character dab by pushing down, so that's nice. As far as I can tell though, nothing else has changed. I don't think the gameplay is any different either. It's a platformer. Every level has a set number of keys scattered around, grab them all, get to the exit. Simple. The main gimmick is you can take control of certain enemies by feeding them candy, putting them to sleep, and wearing their skin? What? Okay, sure, let's roll with it. To make things worse, the original game suffers from an extreme case of brutal NES difficulty, so I never made it too far. I never saw past level 1 of this one, so who knows if it gets any stranger as it goes. Next up, Pokemon Blue. This seems to be a hack of Wacky races, except we're playing as a strange blue bear thing instead of Muttley. Not super familiar with the original, so I'm not really sure what's changed. It's another platformer, but with a neat power-up system that involves collecting a bunch of bones and trading them in for the one you want, rather than just having a bunch of different power-ups lying around. There was a bomb, a bark attack that I always thought the icon looked like a weird wing thing, a hover, and a health recovery. Again though, it's pretty hard and I didn't make it super far, or young me just sucked at games, who knows. Text in English this time, but was almost impossible to read on the screen, and I had no clue what Wacky Races was, so I had no clue what the story was yet again. Moving along, we have Pokemon Emerald 2. Yeah, it turns out Emerald got a sequel, released exclusively in China, who'da thunk it. This one's a little weird, since it starts off with a slideshow of what I assume is official artwork. We have Mew, introducing us to the mess we're about to experience, the original starters, which weren't even in Emerald to begin with, and Yep, after the 2-picture slideshow in the beginning, it's identical to the previous hack, weird blue bear and all. Well, since it's here twice, better talk more about it. Upon a replay, I can confirm, officially, that young me just didn't really understand the gameplay. You start by selecting a world of sorts, each one following a slightly different storyline. There were, in order, Hip Hop, Splish Splash, and Go America? Perfect names, tell you exactly what we're getting into, flawless. I remember playing Go America the most, probably because it started with an ice level, and I enjoyed messing with the slippery ground. If for some reason you want to play this game, get the bomb and hover power-ups ASAP. The bomb covers a huge area, so you don't need to be accurate, and the hover allows you to circumvent most of the tricky platforming. Once you know what's going on, it's an alright time, just maybe play with the volume down. Alright, halfway there. Next up, Pokemon Yellow, a Pikachu-themed one, apparently. This one takes the cake for most ominous opening, as it just starts with Pikachu staring at you on a grey backdrop with no sound, requesting that you press start. You okay, buddy? Need a glass of water? Your ear's looking kinda broken, you doing okay? Adding to the strangeness is that the screen's a little impatient. If you hang around too long, the game just resets itself. I guess best for why it does this is it has something to do with the original game's demo reel, but who knows. Upon actually starting the game, it seems to be a bootleg Tiny Toons game. Confession, I know nothing about Tiny Toons. So much so that when I was a kid, I thought it was a knockoff Looney Tunes game. So forgive me for not knowing any of the characters. Your main character is this dreadful Pikachu amalgamation, shambling around with a world with equally as bugged graphics. What's odd is that in some rooms the graphics repair themselves, and it looks like the original. Doesn't happen often though, so you better get comfy with the electric nightmare over here. The game also has the honor of having the best crouching and sliding animation ever. Whenever you push down, Pikachu just faceplants and drags himself along the floor. Hey, you ever have a day where you just... Yeah, me too. Aside from all the visual horror, it plays alright I guess. Nothing too crazy here, although the one-hit deaths are annoying. It's good for a laugh, but not a whole lot else. Next on the list, another sequel. You thought Emerald 2 was fancy? Well, get ready for Ruby 3! What happened to Ruby 2? Well, we may never know. This one opens on another slideshow, consisting of Azurill introducing the title, and a field of random Pokemon trying their best to be cute. What's bizarre about this one is that the first image has some sort of watermark under the title. I can't make out what it says though, and a friend of mine just thinks it's a drop shadow for the text. If you have any ideas what it says, or where it's from, well, let me know. Opening the actual game, we have another candidate for blandest title screen ever. More silent, solid grey backgrounds, this time with the Pokemon logo, a Charmeleon hanging out, and 2 whole difficulty options. Well, it's an improvement on the last game, that's for sure. The game itself is a Mega Man style platformer, and has you playing as a Charmeleon like the title screen suggested. Credit to the bootleggers here, the hack job isn't too bad. Charmeleon looks like he should, although he's a bit bouncy, and everything else works like expected. Although I am curious, why'd they pick Charmeleon? Surely Charmander or Charizard would have been more recognizable. Oh well, I'm not complaining. Middle evolutions need more recognition anyway. I didn't actually know what this was a hack of at first, but with a bit of research, I believe it's a hack of a Famicom exclusive game called Mitsume ga Tooru. I've never heard of it, but there you go I guess. It works well enough, no really obvious issues, although I have no clue what the difficulty select actually does. This is one of the more playable ones here, let it pass. Alright, final bootleg. And believe me, I've saved the best for last. All the previous titles were hacks of pre-existing games, but this bad boy is an entirely new one built from the ground up. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to Pokemon Gold. Oh boy, we're in for a ride. Pokemon Gold, or as the title screen calls it, Pocket Monster, is a very strange beast to say the least. You play as Pikachu again, platforming your way through whatever mess we've gotten into now. Movement is sluggish, and the entire game feels like it's constantly experiencing slowdown. Jumping is awkward and floaty, and while it can be used as an attack, it's so imprecise, you're better off just jumping over things. Aside from movement and jumping, you also have a run button, which helps with the slow movement a little, and a screen-clearing electric attack, which is not only your only reliable way of removing enemies, but also hurts your eyes a little thanks to the screen having a fit every time you use it. For some godforsaken reason though, run and screen clear are on the same button. If you're moving and you press it, you'll run. But if you're standing still, you'll shock everything. What this equates to is if you stop moving while still holding run, press it slightly before you set off, or land a jump without immediately starting to move, you'll zap everything. This wouldn't be so bad despite the eye strain and the stopping every few seconds, but you only get 3 each life. After that, you have to either jump on or over everything, which is very unreliable. Sure, there's some extra attack charges throughout the stage, but they're rare, and likely you're going to use them up as fast as you get them, let's be honest. Combine the lack of reliable attacking options with the janky platforming, and the fact you only have 3 hits of life, you'll be dying a lot. Fortunately, there's a little trick to this one. Simply press start and... Yep, you can fly around. For some reason, there's some form of debug mode left in here. You can fly over everything, or just straight through things if you want. You have no collision in this mode, so walls don't stop you and enemies can't hurt you, leaving you to explore everything this nightmare has to offer. But wait, there's more. Once you're in fly mode, you can press select to flat out skip to the next stage. Thanks to this little exploit, this is the only one I've actually finished, for want of a better word. The game is split into 4 worlds: Velpt, Woods, Tableland, and Motte. Perfect translations. Each world carries 3 levels and a boss fight, and they're all as broken as each other. Now, to some of you who know a little bit about bootlegs, this might seem a little bit familiar. Well, it turns out, this bootleg is actually based on a pre-existing bootleg. There exists a SNES bootleg, also called Pocket Monster, and the gameplay is almost point for point for what we have here. Why this exists, I'll never know, but at least we can point and laugh at it for ages to come. And that about wraps up all the ones I had stuff to talk about. It's by no means all the bootlegs I own, just a few of the more interesting ones. I'll probably make another video in the future about others, but that can wait for another day. And with that, I think we're done here. Thanks for swinging by. Let me know how I can improve in the future, and I hope to see you around.